and welcome to another edition of the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne. And let's just say, here's Jack.
Well, thank you, Barry. If it's Sunday, you're hearing my voice, and I do appreciate that. Again, our topic is where every house has a story, and so I thought it was maybe time to read and interpret some of these newspapers and review what the staff writers' positions and opinions are, and how, by reviewing these, how I can help you further. Because, I don't want to say advertising, but everyone's entitled to an opinion. I think a home inspector generally has the best opinion as to the health and welfare of our homeowners. So before we kick in, I want to thank the sponsors, and please, again, let them know that you heard their ads on the show. And again, I'm going to start with Bucksmont Inspections. Every week starting to get a little bit warmer. So if all of a sudden outside you're starting to see where you have lush green lawn where everything else is still kind of dead and not quite ready for spring, then you might have an on-site sewage problem. So you may want to reach out to Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213, excuse me. Burrow Exterminating. Again, March is the time for wood-destroying insects to show their heads. The soils are starting to get a little bit warmer now, and if you start to see those swarms, give Burrow Exterminating a call at 610-586-5640. And Pest Blaster. Not only do the termites come up, but the carpenter ants come out too. The grass is starting to grow a little bit. The buds are showing up on the trees. The larger the trees, the larger the ants. So if you have any issues, give Pest Blaster a buzz at 215-295-5555. BrainFleshGear.com. I know I'm looking forward to motorcycle weather. So I know I'm going to break out my Brain Flesh gear fairly soon, and enjoy some good remarks from clients and friends who have seen these shirts and say, how'd you ever do that? Again, BrainFleshGear.com. And finally, Tri-County Inspection Company. I can tell you, folks, with spring in the air and football over, our market has really started to kick in, and interest rates are at a good point. The amount of bankrupt homes or short sales is definitely diminishing in the Philadelphia market, which is a great sign for not only sellers but also buyers. So we've done everything from the what I call the shoebox condo, and about 2 weeks ago we did a 10,000 square foot home. So we're in any and all type of structures. And by the way, Barry, we did a firehouse about 2 weeks ago.
No kidding.
Yeah. So you never know what we're going to inspect, and again, that's what keeps my occupation challenging, I guess is a good word, Barry. Let's kick into our first article. As to a little bit of background, let's see, I've got here, keeping indoor humidity at a pleasant level. Okay, that was the gist of the article. As to a little bit of background, a father has his daughter and granddaughter living in his home, and the father has a central humidification system on his furnace, but his daughter runs a portable humidifier in her daughter's room at night. The father's concerned about mold growing because of the excess moisture and all the stuffed animals that are in the room. So, in my opinion, I would suggest that you remove the central humidification system on the furnace and use the local humidifier in the child's room. And the reason I state this position is that, let's start with the child's room. Every night, you might have to put between 1 gallon to 2 gallons of water in the humidifier, because through the night, of course, it's going to humidify the room to make it comfortable for the young lady. Meanwhile, when it runs out of water, what's going to happen? You've got to go back to the faucet, and you have to add fresh water again. So these local humidifiers can last anywhere from 8 to 24 hours, depending on how often the child has to sleep. But at the end of the day, and every day, you're putting fresh water into that humidifier. The reason I don't like central humidification systems is that if you read the fine print, they're supposed to be cleaned every 2 weeks with a vinegar or water solution to kill the bacteria that grows on them. And guess what, folks? Nobody does that. And so occasionally when I remove these covers to show my client, they're overcalcified and typically dirty and can actually breed bacterial spores in your ductwork. So once they get calcified, then the water can't be carried around the drum and then goes into a well and then drains to your sump pit or your perimeter drain. So you're going to have more bacterial growth grow on the drum, which in turn is being dispersed. At the same time, if you notice, the humidifier is on your return side of the furnace. And the reason that they put them on the return side is so that they don't directly leach into your furnace. And that's a whole different subject, which I'll talk about in a second. But humidifiers are prone to leak. So if you're taking this unfiltered air, because, again, it hasn't hit the filter, blending it with water, pumping it back into the supply side of your plenum, you're sending more dirtier, moisture-laden air back through your supplies and into your rooms. So if you have a humidifier on the supply side, take a look under it. And if you see white streaks, the white streak, folks, isn't from the humidifier leaking from the outside. It shows that it's leaking on the inside of the return. So if you see these white streaks or you see corrosion at the bottom of the ductwork, then you've got a real problem. And the reason I don't like it on the supply side is that if it leaches into the A coil, which is your air conditioner, or if we don't have air conditioning, it leaches into the furnace itself, and there's a body within the within the furnace called the heat exchanger. And the heat exchanger's sole job is to determine what good air goes to your home and what bad air goes up the flue or to the exterior of the building. So you can drastically reduce the life expectancy of a furnace by having a centrally mounted humidification system. Also, finally, what everybody else forgets to do, and there is one more past this finally, is that it has to be adjusted according to outside ambient temperature. Now, you can feel the flux of temperatures that we're having. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had bitter weather. I mean, we had 2 degrees at night, 5 degrees at night. And during the day, it got to a high of maybe 20. So you actually have to adjust the humidistat, more often when we have this flux in temperatures. Now we're starting to see temperatures in the low to mid-20s at night, and then it's going up to 35 in the afternoon. Well, again, you have to adjust the humidistat, because if you end up pumping too much water through the system, again, it's going to affect your health and the health of the furnace. And finally, this is, I swear, the last finally, people don't tend to shut them off for the summer. So here you're trying to dehumidify the home with your air conditioning system while you have your humidifier set on rainforest. So one will counteract the other. It's going to draw up your energy costs, and you're going to feel clammy. So, for that article, again, I would suggest that you stick to local humidifiers. They're more healthy for your home and for you. Article 2. This was interesting. It discussed a little return on insulation at resale time. And there was a picture with a caption that says, insulation reduces utility costs but adds little to the value of a home. In my opinion, the article states that if your house is energy efficient, one, you should list it on your seller's disclosure form, and with that point, I agree. The seller's disclosure form doesn't have to be negative. It should be positive, too. because list the improvements that you made. For example, if you put in windows, and believe me, windows aren't cheap, but you've also added insulation to the attic, the crawl space, the box beam, the attic hatch. These are things that buyers want to see to tell the difference between your home and that of a neighbor that's down the street that also has your house, that has their house for sale. And believe me, first-time home buyers in particular are stretched for every dollar that they can put down on this home, so that the last thing they want are high energy costs. So, in my opinion, the more energy efficient it is, the better chance you have to raise your asking price a little bit more, because not only to pay for the improvements, but your buyers will understand that it's going to cost them a lot less to operate the house.
I'll tell you what, this is a good point for us to take a break and get more opinions, newspaper opinions, get Jack's opinions about their opinions right after this. You're listening to the House Whisperer Show. Jack Milne is the House Whisperer, and we'll be back right after these very important words.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers Show.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so.
And we're back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer at WWDB. A very interesting show today. Jack is giving us his opinions on opinions that are in the newspapers and other places. And he's doing it with a powerful transmitter and a big microphone. And Jack, you're back on the air.
Thank you, Barry, very much. And believe me, I do appreciate WWDB to let me share the gospel, as they say. So
Amen. Amen, brother.
and preaching the word where every house has a story. So we were visiting an article where the opinion of the writer says that insulation doesn't really add much to the value of your home when you're selling. And folks, believe me, I tend to disagree with the opinion. So insulation should be one of the few things that if you're under-insulated when you move into that property, I'd love you to spend some funds and re-insulate your home, because you're looking at 1.5 years to 2 years payback at most. And if you can drop your energy costs by 20% or 30%, isn't it worth it? And that was my point. People are looking for the more energy-efficient home today. And my brother-in-law, who's a ResNet, my actual brother, who's a ResNet certified inspector, there's going to be possible government programs coming out soon where your house is actually rated according to energy efficiency. So, if I was the seller of this property, I'd be doing a few other things that I'd be putting out on that listing table. One, you want to show the costs and receipts of the following. Window costs. If you're looking at roughly 20 windows in a standard 2-story colonial at a cost of about 300 windows apiece, that's about a $6,000 improvement that you've put into your home. Of course, the insulation costs that you put in to improve your lifestyle and to reduce your energy costs, I think that's something that's really important that people should see. And, of course, utility bills. And utility bills are one of those things that, unfortunately, not too many people really ask for. But you should be asking for it as a buyer. And as a seller, you should be proud to see how little your house actually costs to operate. And I think another important thing are service contracts. So if your oil heater, your gas furnace, or your heat pump is under an annual service contract, that shows due diligence to the buyer that you're willing to spend a couple $100 a year so that your equipment runs to the highest efficient level that it can. And especially sellers, if you've got that 20-year-old furnace or that 15-year-old heat pump where life expectancies are starting to dwindle, use these service contracts to make a negative a positive, and just show your due diligence that I'm doing the best I can. So look at it this way: if a buyer can save 1 to 2 tanks of oil, per year, with a 275-gallon tank at $4 a gallon, that's $1,100 a year at today's cost per tank. Per tank. Now, and a tank of oil lasts anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, depending on occupancy and how you operate the equipment. If you times $1,100 times 30 years, you're saving $33,000. But again, that's today's numbers. We all know that oil in time is going to increase. So these are numbers that we can use today, but keep in mind it's going to maybe cost you $50,000 in energy savings by the time we're talking to each other in 30 years. If my listeners are interested in buying any home, I ask that you review the seller's disclosure form and the operating costs, because at the end of the day, these bills become yours. Now, the article also stated that in Montgomery County, of over 3,000 listings for homes between $100,000 to $2 million, okay, so that's a wide range, only 34 listings out of 3,000 provided utility bill information. I find that astounding.
Yeah, it is.
I'm amazed at that. And so I don't know if people don't know or people don't care or are afraid to ask. Folks, never be afraid to ask. As buyers and sellers, never be afraid to put these numbers in front of your buyers. Don't be afraid to show these numbers unless your home is so under-insulated that you may scare them. And that was the gist of this article, that you won't make money by insulating your home. And I think he was completely off tangent. So in closing for this article that states that insulation and little value to the home, I think, again, he's dead wrong. Buyers in today's market want more. But at the end of the day, they also want less operating costs and are willing to pay for it. And I'm going to date myself, folks, but back in 1985, I built a house in Huntington Valley. It cost me, 1985. Now, it cost me about $6,000 more to build that home, knowing what I know in 1985. Now, unfortunately, my wife got promoted instead of transferred, so I had to sell the house during the framing stage. So I had a business decision to make. Either I could just spec it out, or knowing me and how anal retentive I am, I'm going to build a house like I was going to live in it. Now, like I said, it cost me about $6,000 more to build it the way I would want to live in it. And one of the agreements that I had with my buyer is that I wanted his utility bills for the next 12 months from possession. Now, I gave the gentleman a credit for the carpet. I mean, so we didn't even get a chance to move into this home. And over the next 12 months, now this is 1985, his operating costs were $60 a month.
Well, that's it?
That's it.
Wow.
And now that's 1985, so let's double it, or even let's triple it. From 1985 to today, that's $180 a month. And that's for your gas and electric. So it costs a little bit more, but believe me, I got a very good value for the home at that time. And I proved to myself, but I also proved to my new homeowner that it works. So in closing again, look at those bills, because the next article I actually touched on a few months ago about natural gas prices soar as cold weather grips the U.S. So, Barry, I know I've got a few more minutes here, but I want to close with this article. The frigid winter of 2014 is setting the price of natural gas on fire. Prices on the future market soared to $5.18 per 1,000 cubic feet, up 10% to the highest level in 3.5 years. The price of natural gas is up 29% in 2 weeks and is 50% higher than last year at this time. Here we go. Now, so much natural energy is coming out of storage that the Energy Department says supplies have fallen 20% below a year ago, and that was before this last cold spell. Now, keep in mind, folks, this article is probably a week and a half to 2 weeks old by the time that you're listening to it, and I can present it. So natural gas and electric customers are sure to see somewhat higher rates in the coming months. but they will be insulated from sharp increases because regulators often force natural gas and electric utilities to use financial instruments and fuel buying strategies that protect residential customers from high volatility. So basically, folks, in English, what that means is you're not going to see these 50% increases in your next bill. You're not going to see it. What you're going to see, those of us who are PSE&G bill payers and PECO, is that you're going to see your bills go up incrementally over the next few months where you don't think you're using gas at all. So that it's going to balance out by the time we approach winter of 2014. But you can count on your gas bills going up. Now, the good news and bad news is the gas is still your most efficient source of heating your home. So regardless, they've had the prices down, like I stated in the House Whisperer show about 6 weeks ago, but everything is going to start to go up. And I think this is a fun fact. Natural gas is used by half the nation's households for heating, making it the most important heating fuel. Electricity is the second most popular heating source, and electric power generators use natural gas to generate power more than any other fuel except for coal. So it's not only us homeowners who are using gas, it's the energy suppliers who need to get electricity out to those folks who have electric baseboard heat or electric heat pumps so that they can keep their homes up and running during the inclement weather. So bottom line, folks, the cost of electricity is going to go up a little bit more. The cost of natural gas is going to go up. And the good news is for those oil-fired homes, that price has stabilized slightly. But I don't know if $4 gallons or $4 a gallon is stabilized.
I don't know about stabilized, but it ain't cheap. Jack, we are out of time again.
Okay, Barry. And one more thing, just real quick, propane prices have gone up too. Those of us who heat our houses with propane or generators look for that price to go up, but again, not as highly as oil. So again, folks, as it is Sunday, please spend time with friends and family, and I look forward to talking to you the next time on the House Whisperer Show.
Tune in again next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. And to listen to previous programs, and there are a lot of them and a lot of good information, or if you have any questions, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman. Thanks for listening to WWDB.
Cats in the yard. Life used to be so